It's Pastor Ron once again. A question that's often posed is how to embrace the Lord in your singleness. How do you serve God when you're single? For a very long time, people thought it's mutually exclusive, where you can't serve God when you're single. I know a lot of pastors who have shied away from using single people in the ministry, or they've gravitated toward growing a church through married couples. But I believe that it is possible to serve God when you're single. I think it's possible for you to be at a place where God uses you as you're single. A great example is the Apostle Paul. He didn't get married, but God used them. So I just want to share with you my thoughts and help you in that journey of being single and still being saved. So, first off, I want to say, despite what you've probably heard in church, being single is not a sin. A lot of the time we have ostracized, we have, and it could have been innocent, because I think a lot of times we just glorify marriage so much that we make people who are not married to feel like they're subservient, that they're worthless. But there are people who are not yet married, but yet you can still be used by God. There are folks who are not yet married who are anointed and powerful, and God is using in a mighty way. So singleness is not sinfulness. Singleness is not worthlessness. You are still valuable in the eyes of God. You are still able to be used by God. You are still the apple of the Lord's eye. So be clear in understanding the value in your singleness and knowing that you are someone that God can use, and you are someone that God has the ability to do great things through. And the church should do a better job of not glorifying marriage. When you have a church that has 60% of people who are single, who don't want to get married, and then inadvertently or indirectly, or for some directly, I'm seeing more and more that I live, you are trying to force people into a place of marriage, and that's not kosher, and that's not cool. But I also want to share with you my heart as I was single. As you know, I got married fairly late in age. I was 31 when I got married. So I had in this current landscape, it's late, but I was older when I got married, and it even messed with me. I will never forget when I hit 30. So typical Haitian Christian. I haven't done this in a while too. Full transparency. What I would do, 11:59, I would get on my knees and pray before God to make sure when I cross into my new year, I find in God's presence and in prayer. But then when I went from 29 to 30, something shifted in my life. I felt like such a loser. Like, oh my God, I had plans to be married by like 26. How am I not married yet? How am I single, sitting here with no wife? DMs are dry. No one trying to chat with me. Like, it just, none of that stuff. And I'm sitting here at a place where I need to, should, be farther along in my life, but yet I wasn't. So I get it. It's 30, like that 30 bomb, when it hits you, it messes you up. And then of course you have the people in your family, like you dread going to Thanksgiving and Christmas because auntie so-and-so, tati so-and-so is like, where's your husband? Where's the girl? All that good stuff. So it messes with you in your mind. So I get it. I get the struggle. But I also understand that with God, all things are possible, and we are not on man's time, we're on God's time. I learned in that season to trust God. I learned in that season to wait on God and who God was. So I believe that our single season is not a season of inactivity. We often feel that those who are single are just sitting here and just waiting to be used by God once they're married. There's a certain dimension that God can use you if you are married, but I also trust and believe that singleness does not mean inactivity. It does not mean that I'm sitting here by myself, not doing anything. That God can do major and get great things in my life while I'm married. while I'm single, excuse me. So that is what I believe. I believe that singleness does not mean inactivity. You can be used by God. And I also would like to acknowledge the fact that if you're watching and you're single, I understand that you're busy too. And I've been guilty of this, and I'm trying to repent from this type of mentality in which we're like, oh, listen, if you can't serve God when you're single and you ain't got no kids, you can never serve God. I don't think that's the proper way to approach things, because just because I'm single don't mean I don't have to worry about school. Some people got to take care of their parents because they're older now. You're dating someone, you have ministry, you have to seek Lord for yourself, you go to the gym, you have a lot on your plate as well. So I don't want to sit here and say those who are single have an easy time to serve God. What about our single moms? Single moms who are by themselves sitting here trying to raise a child on their own. How tough could it have been for them? So I want us to realize the gravity of what it is that we're going through. And I acknowledge it. And I don't want to put you down and think you have all this free time. Because us married folk, we think those who are, we look back at our single lives. It's like, oh my God, man, when I was single, now I had so much free time. Now I got 4 kids. And with these kids, I can't move as much as I want to. I can't go on vacation as much as I want to. So we have this unfair image that single folks are just sitting home dwindling their thumbs with nothing to do. You guys are busy. You guys have priorities. And I do not want to dismiss that. But in your single season, you still have a responsibility to serve God. You still have a responsibility to walk in or prepare yourself to walk into your purpose. Keep your eyes focused on Him. You know, you may have more distractions or the same distractions as you're married, because we sit here and say people like you have more distractions when you're single, and when you get married, things should be easier. But that's not true, because when you're married somebody, their demons become your demons. Their issues become your issues. Let's go more practical. Their debt becomes your debt. So it may seem a little bit more challenging for those who are single, because they have all these issues and things they're battling, and you have how you call it, like, you know, sexual temptation, you know, all social media, the fact that you have more time on your hand, you're dating more. This gives an opportunity for the enemy to kind of work more into your life. But I also believe that does not mean when you marry someone it gets any easier, and that whatever you're battling in singleness does not go away in marriage. As a matter of fact, it actually amplifies. It puts you under a bigger microscope, that those things that you're battling in singleness, these things, when you get into marriage, they actually amplify. So your job as a believer who is single, work on your issues now. It's not your husband's job to fix your issues. It's your issues. It's called self-healing. You need to come into your marriage healed, not perfect, not issue free, but at least your healing is your responsibility. So you can't expect your husband, your wife, to heal you. A lot of the issues and things that you need healing from and freedom from, it requires that you are at a place where you acquire it and work on it on your own. So the one thing I would recommend to someone that's serving God while they're single is for them to learn the importance of healing and preparation. These two go hand in hand. And I want to remind you that your ultimate goal is not to get married. Like, marriage is not heaven. Your ultimate goal is to see God. What if you don't get into marriage? What if God has not called you into marriage? Serve God now. Because so the answer how to serve the Lord in singleness, the same way you serve God while you're married. There's no like singleness path and there's no marriage path. Regardless, your goal should be the same. Regardless, you're not too young to walk into your purpose. You're not too young to be used by God. And you're not too young to die and to go to heaven or to go to hell or to leave this earth empty. So my goal is every single day, I want to please God and do the will of God over my life. Because I don't know when is my last day. I don't know when God will call me home. So we have to stop this mentality of dividing our pursuit of God between one of seasons, where in my season of being single, I got to serve God, I pursue God a certain way. In my season of being married, I got to serve God a particular way. No, it's the same exact way. Our desires and our hearts and our ultimate goal needs to be the same. Needs to be one where I say, I want to pursue God and do what God calls me to do. This issue, because we automatically assume that those who are single are young, but you're not young. I don't care if you're 15. You can still preach the word and do what God will call you to do. The one danger of being single is that we have in our mind a handicap. Well, I have time. You don't have time. Serve God now. If you get anything out of this, serve God now. That's how you serve God when you're single. Serve him now. Do what he calls you to do now and not wait. Because God has plans for you. And there's certain purposes over your life that he wants you to do when you're 16 and not when you're 36. Because he had a whole different assignment over you. When I was single, I was an evangelist. I'm married, now God has transitioned me into a pastor. Same God, same purpose, doing the will of God, but it's different assignment. So do your assignment now. You don't have time. You can't wait. Being single does not mean that you're off the grid and can do what you want. Being single means I got to serve God, just like as if I was married, because your life depends on it. I hope this helps. I hope this kind of just, I want to share a little nugget. God put it into my spirit to share a little nugget with you guys. I pray this help. Of course, give me feedback. Thank you for your time. I love you guys. God bless. Peace.